And we would basically mash and distill in a 250-gallon still.
How many barrels, by the way, is that a day? 1 barrel?
Oh, no, that's like 1 barrel every 2 months.
I was going to say. I was hoping. I was being hopeful for 1 barrel a day.
We didn't get to 1 barrel a day for like 4 years.
Oh, man.
Hello, and welcome everyone to episode 264 of The Mashup, the most interesting bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Anthony, Kenny, and Steven. Good evening, fellas.
What's up, what's up?
How you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good tonight.
Yeah, I'm doing well, too. I was reclining in the chair there because I continue to make bad choices when it comes to my diet.
What now?
Chili dogs.
It sure looked like it had stretch marks on it.
Yeah, see? You can see there.
White stripes, Kenny.
Yeah, I almost didn't make it here because of my poor choices at lunch, which was chili dogs and chili cheese fries from the infamous cafeteria at the esteemed university. Yeah, all you can eat. Yeah, oof. Yikes. So I'm glad I'm here and that you guys are as well, because this is a Tuesday episode and it's pretty customary for us to either do a short bottle review or to have industry guests. And we do more short bottle reviews than industry guests.
Short bottle reviews? Is that what you said?
I said
They're
short,
the bad ones, aren't
but
they?
That's fine with me. Go ahead. Already off the rails. But tonight we are very happy to be joined by a trio of gentlemen from Bluegrass Distillers. And Bluegrass is a local distillery right here in Lexington, Kentucky. It started in 2012. And joining us tonight are Sam Rock, who is a co-owner and CEO. Ben Franzini, who's also a co-owner and CEO. Did I pronounce that correct?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Chase Wagers, who is
I do a little bit of everything.
a little bit of everything. Wonderful. So happy to have you gentlemen with us tonight. I just realized that, Sam, I didn't give you an opportunity to even say anything. That's terrible of me. What am I doing with my guests?
I'll talk a lot. You don't have to worry.
Oh, perfect.
I appreciate the opportunity, but we'll get to it.
And as the bourbon gets flowing, I'm sure we'll talk even more.
Oh, there you go. So
Maybe even in cursive.
yeah, Kenny has to. What do you got to get? Half satch or quarter satch for that?
Man, this might be a long night. We'll see.
All right. So when we have guests on, we like to start off by asking you all to kind of talk us through how your journey in bourbon started. But before any of you do that, I think we have to mention this. So Steven and I, back when we started the podcast, back in 2021 or 2020 when it was founded, one of the first 20 episodes that we did was on Bluegrass Distillers, a single barrel, 2-year-old product. And at that time, you guys had just started putting out bottle and bond stuff. And we were talking about the promise that we thought that your liquid had.
Right.
So we were actually impressed back then. And I wanted to get that out there out front because I want people to go back and listen to episode 14. I want you guys to listen to it. But I also wanted to make sure that we were clear on the record that we originally tasted and liked the stuff.
Are you sure that's what you said?
I'm serious.
I actually listened to it earlier today. There were
Just to double check, like.
There was 2 tries and 1 buy. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
That's
Good
good.
deal. Good deal.
So, but yeah, just kind of getting us started here in no particular order. I just kind of want to know how did Bluegrass Distillers start? And I mean, since you guys are co-CEOs and co-owners, Ben and Sam, how did you guys meet each other? How do you know each other? Talk us through it. Tell us a little about the story here.
So we really got going in probably the end of 2011 or early 2012. And at the time, I mean, I'm from here, but I had moved for work and was living in Atlanta. And
You were on the run? Is that what it was?
I was on the lam. I was. Yeah. But I didn't get caught because I moved back here to get married. So
There you go.
but so when I'm from here. My parents are from here. I grew up in Woodford County, and we went out to look at what is now Castle and Key because one of the former partners wanted to take down one of the buildings. And I grew up in Woodford County, and I mean, I knew that place really like by the back of my hand,
Yep.
And so we went out and checked it out. And this is granted before any of this bourbon stuff
The big
happened.
boom happened.
Yeah. But I actually did work with Tom Bullitt, which is a different story as a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
Just as an aside, just like how dead bourbon was at one point, he whips out this bottle, and I was an associate at a law school, and he's like, "Look at this bourbon I'm working on." I was like, nobody cares about bourbon. You know what I mean? But, we just drink it and Coke, Right. So, I mean, but so.
From what I heard, he kept you busy.
Tom was great. He left soon after to pursue his thing, and so we went down to look at this place, and I was looking to come back, but I didn't want to just practice law anymore, and so we talked about getting into the bourbon business. They had all the tanks and all that, and we initially kind of looked at that property, but it was way outside our comfort zone. So, and we talked about, they didn't use the term NDP at that time. We talked about sourcing. The only place you could really source from was MGP. This was 2012, so we thought, well, why don't we just be on the mash and try to learn how to make it? So we went to this school in Colorado for 2 days.
Really?
Really?
We did, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You had to fly all the way out there to do it.
And we left at noon, and on the second day, because the guys got really trashed and weren't making any sense. So we
flew to Colorado to learn how to make some grain forward for grain.
That's right. That's right. It was a surreal experience. But so then we came back and we went to Paul Tomaszewski's, down at MB Roland. At one point, he had something called Camp Distillery, which was really just kind of moonshining camp, and then it's like we put it in a barrel. So that's how it started. So then we got going. We rented the place on the back of West 6th. We bought a still from Portugal. At this point, I was living here kind of like part-time, and we didn't have any employees, but we did have interns from UK.
Oh, nice. Esteemed institution.
It was an esteemed. It was before the Beam Institute.
That's where Anthony works.
Yeah, I work in UK.
Yeah. Where do you do over there?
I'm in the College of Communication and Information. I'm a professor there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that explains the buffet at lunch.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I was there.
The food cart.
Yeah,
right?
the food. Yeah, exactly.
So we got going. Another friend of ours said she was taking a distillation class with Brad Barron. Do you know Brad over at UK?
I know who Brad is.
He runs the program. And so she said to him, the buddy of mine, which was me, has a distillery, which was radical hyperbole because we're not even close to a distillery yet. So he gave us some interns, and we would basically mash and distill in a 250-gallon still. And at the time, we had bought it started out.
How many barrels, by the way, is that a day? 1 barrel?
Oh, no, that's like 1 barrel every 2 months.
I was going to say. I was hoping. I was being hopeful for 1 barrel a day.
We didn't get to 1 barrel a day for like 4 years.
Oh, man.
Running 3 shifts, that's what it takes.
Yeah. 3 shifts of interns. And so we were doing, and I would go to my office down the street. At this point, Ben wasn't with us, and I had like some overall like veterinary smocks that I would put on and go in and like work with the interns, and they were like shoveling it in the top. I mean, but really that was before any of this kind of really happened. But we were really, it was kind of wild because we would put stuff in the paper. This is like in 16, 17, and 18 in the Herald Leader, and like tons of people would turn out for bottle, and we were selling like 2-year bourbon.
Yeah.
So that's how we started. And then we just continued to grow. And the people that we have today, a lot of them were people who started with us in 17 and 18.
Oh, wow.
So, we've kept the same people. And then later, Ben came on in what, 2020?
2020, yep.
And we...
there you go.
Yeah.
When they were making the sanitizer, when you guys
we
were
made a lot of sanitizer. Did you all ever sanitize your hands?
Yeah, I own some sanitizer from you guys. Yep.
Do you have one on the wall over at UK?
I don't. What do I have? I have one in my garage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do have one.
I have a
Good place
vertical
for it now.
Yeah,
you have a vertical.
I have a vertical van sanitizer upstairs from multiple distilleries.
No offense, but on campus was Beam only sanitizer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they had a lockdown company,
they did.
man.
There was a lady one time who called us and said that it smelled like dead meat.
Yeah, that was one of our...
I wanted to name it that, but nobody liked that.
Yeah, that was our worst review we got on the sanitizer.
Yeah.
Was the
Really?
dead meat, yeah.
Oh my god.
But the sanitizer was a wild ride. It was, for what it was good for our employees. We worked every day. We felt like we had a mission to do. But our people really learned scale and speed. Like before we had done sanitizer, like I said, we did 1 barrel a month or something like that. We all were working at a pace that, was not truly industrial. And then we got used to this sprinting, and I think that's what really kicked off where we are today, which is an industrial-sized distillery.
Yeah, Sam called me right before COVID, actually, and was like, hey, for this business to really work, we need to get some scale. I mean, we sort of knew that, and we were ready to get going, and then the pandemic happened, so we had to turn towards sanitizer.
But how did you get involved? Like, what's your background? Do you have background in distilling and operations or not?
So my background is engineering. So I got a job as an engineer.
That's his background too.
Oh,
Stevens,
nice. Yeah. I got a job in New York out of college. I went to University of Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
Mechanical engineering, aerospace.
Shout out.
There we go.
There we go.
Graduates of the same college over here, now in the room together. This could be dangerous.
Yeah. Look out.
But yeah, not ahead of us.
There you go. Wild night, 2 engineers.
Hey, it can happen.
I know, I'm just messing around.
No, Ben will be out all night. Don't threaten him.
That's true. Challenge accepted.
Okay.
But no, I got a job up in New York, moved to New York, and looking back, I realized that when I left Kentucky, I had no appreciation for bourbon at that time, other than maybe Beam and Coke, But when I got to New York, I started going to some like cocktail bars, and I got sort of into like the whole cocktail whiskey culture up there at like Pegu Club and Brandy Library in New York, and I realized being out of the state and seeing the way people look at bourbon, because that was when bourbon was getting started, like 07, 08.
Right.
But I got the perspective of what an awesome state export it is for us, and all the cool conversations people would be like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm from Kentucky, and they'd be like, oh, bourbon, and that really, I don't know, it made me feel good. It made me like associate that with the pride of being from Kentucky, and so I worked as an engineer for my 15 years, and then
nice.
When I got the call from Sam, that started my transition into the distilling industry.
Many bad decisions.
Yeah, he called me and he was like, hey, you want to help me build this distillery? And I was like, sure, let's do it. And then it's been a long 4 or 5 years, but here we are.
That's crazy. And so you guys didn't know how did you know each other before or not? Or just kind of...
We knew each other socially, and we were hanging out. And,
okay.
And Sam, he has a long entrepreneurial history, so he had many things going on, and I was always curious about all of them.
Ben was the number one pick in the draft.
Number one pick in the draft. Very good.
He knew I was easy to brainwash, so he was like, come on over.
There you go.
Definitely not.
And Chase, how did you become involved with Bluegrass?
Yeah, so I was working in D.C. as of last December, and so I actually decided to move back home to Kentucky. I got kind of tired of what I was doing, wanted to get a job in the bourbon industry, and one of my top bourbons of last year was the Elkwood 15.
Oh, yeah.
So I just by chance one day just decided to go by the gift shop, and I believe it was like January of this year. Wanted to catch and see if they had any of the bottles left. So I actually had a chance to meet Sam that day, really briefly, and just asked him if they were hiring, and the rest was kind of history. So they decided they liked me for whatever reason, and so now I'm running their single barrel program. I cook a couple nights per week on the distillation side, do tours, so doing a lot for them. Sam also gives me a lot of random jobs like digging holes to plant trees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's part of having
part of the apprentice
That's
program.
part of having the new distillery.
Digging holes. Huh?
He's an expert. He's an expert.
Digging holes. So everything from digging holes to cooking bourbon mash.
Sounds like mob stuff. Mafia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so it's been a good time so far, though. Yeah,
We do
That's
have
awesome.
a lever of suffering that you have to sustain, right? Before you can move up in rank.
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
No, that's awesome. When you were just saying that you didn't like what you were doing and you wanted a job in the bourbon industry, I was thinking about this podcast and thinking about how maybe I would like a job. I'm looking at Stephen and Kenny. Everything like,
talk
what?
to?
No, I like being a professor, but no, it's all good. It's so funny that you mentioned the West 6th area, right? So you guys still have that shop.
Well, no. Last weekend was actually the last weekend for...
Oh, wow.
wow.
So shout out to many years of hard work for that location, and thanks for the years, but it's over.
Right. Okay. So that's how most of us came to know your brand was through that location. And I remember the first time I went over there and people were like, yeah, they got this blue corn bourbon and it's, great. And I'm looking at it like, look at the label on this thing. What is this? It was just, not to insult you. I'm just saying it started off very much like you said, just putting the stuff at the top and
It was crayon-like.
but y'all have come a long way since then. And, you have the new location, which we've had the chance to be out there. We came out.
I've been out twice.
Yeah.
I believe there.
I've been twice as well.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
Once was to help River Roots do some barrel selections of Elkwood, and then another time was when we were all out there for the
Kentucky
Center Pick. Yeah.
Center Pick.
So it's a beautiful facility, but I mean, kind of when did that open? Talk a little bit about that. We want to know about the new digs and what's happening there.
Chase, can you pass me the blue corn real quick?
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
We're getting into some drinking here.
Well, the reason I want to try this is I want to see how this compares to because my introduction to bluegrass, I'm just being honest with you, it was not a good introduction.
Oh,
There you go.
hold the phone.
Yeah.
Hold
I'm
the
just
phone.
being honest.
And that is part of like really distilling from ground zero. You have to make some stuff that's not ideal. Like you don't learn it unless you do.
Right.
And so that's just part of it. When people are like, "Oh, we only make good stuff," I'm like, "Well, you never started from nothing.
But-
like you started out on a 36-inch column still, then like it's easy as it can get. When you're distilling on a pot still, like you got to learn where to make these cuts and all this other stuff. And I just think that's part of it. I think when distillers do not start on a pot still, they don't appreciate the right cut on a column still. And some people are like ashamed to say, "Oh, God, I didn't make any good stuff." We did not make some. We made some stuff that wasn't so great.
Right.
Well,
And you learn and you get better.
Well, the first stuff I had, though, to be fair, it wasn't even, I don't even know what it was. And I blame Walmsley, your buddy Walmsley.
Oh, yeah.
He gave me some sample he said some experimental blue corn or something blue corn. And that was my first ever experience. And I'm like, oh. But what I just did, I poured this blue corn out of this bottle. And I just poured the sample that Walmsley gave me as well.
Oh, you still have it?
You still got it?
still
And
got it,
that tastes better than this sample. So that blue corn is better. But so that's my only experience was that blue
Okay.
corn. And I was
Yeah.
like, what the heck? Ugh. But we also right now tonight I'm drinking Midway. This is a double oaked.
Right. Yep.
That's freaking great. That's fire. Several of the Elkwoods we have are really good.
Yeah.
I've had you're all his upside, man. I'm definitely excited for this.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, people, now that we're in this new facility, they say, hey, how's that going to impact the flavor? How's that going to impact the liquid? And we always just say it's only going to make it better. We're just going to keep making higher quality, more consistent.
Sam, there's that
Just
sample.
keep raising the bar.
Oh, here
That's
you are.
fascinating.
That is. I do
What
love
year-
all
what
your
year is
samples you
this,
have done here,
Kevin?
Kenny.
That's from like 3 years ago, I think. What's that been? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I said I love all the sample bottles you have down here
yeah,
of
yeah.
miscellaneous. I
Tons of samples.
love it.
Yeah.
This smells like Still Austin.
I don't know what it is.
Just kidding.
I don't know what it is.
Counterfeit.
Those guys
All
are
I
great.
know is
Shout out to
Walmsley-
Texas.
All I know is Walmsley gave it to me, and that was my first experience with bluegrass.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember other than the one we did on the podcast, other stuff that I've had. But yes, you guys know this. It's a tough sell sometimes when you're putting whiskey out there and you got so much competition. And then you kind of think about what's the unique point of this. So I think it's cool that you started talking about the blue corn because that is something that was a unique selling proposition from your brand, right? I mean, is that the way you guys think of it?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to our new facility. So we have
please.
62-acre farm, as you guys saw. We're growing our own blue corn out there for production. We have yellow corn mash bills also, but that's what we're growing on site just because it's harder to source. We have a 36-inch column still, 6 18,000-gallon fermenters.
Awesome.
It's just a radically different scale than West 6th was.
Right.
Downtown, when we were doing 3 shifts a day, we were up to about 1 barrel a day. I mean, that was like people staying, working late hours, and now we can do. If we were doing 24/7, we could do 150 barrels a day.
Nice.
So it's just so much more economies of scale and state of the art equipment. It's a lot of fun.
Can I ask so blue corn, what's the origin? Why did you decide to do that? And what do you think it does? I mean, any of you all for the flavor and everything like that.
So we, in probably 2015, we had these interns, and I told them, look, we cannot compete with the big guys on the age.
Right.
So we got to get off the barrel. We got to figure out something different. Everybody does yellow corn. So I said, go get whatever you can get. So that they got some Indian corns. They got the blue corn. They got a white corn. They got a red corn.
John, what?
They got a red.
John what?
A what?
John Redcorn. King of the Hill. Never mind.
And so we made these. We basically made them in a crock pot, and the blue corn had the cleanest finish. I mean, I'm kind of a clean finish guy because I think if it like sparks off your tongue and it's over, that's what I want. I don't want anything that finishes like. I mean, a long finish can be great, but like a long finish can more often not be great.
Yeah, a long finish that's bad. Oftentimes, even when we're tasting stuff on the podcast, I'm like, dang, that I was with on the palate and everything, and then as soon as the finish hit, I'm like, the taste that's left in your mouth sometimes can turn you off.
Yeah,
so I get
that
what you're
acrid
saying,
kind of acid,
Yeah.
So it was the one that finished the cleanest, as we call it Blue Dog, but as a clear spirit. And so then we just kind of ran with it, but it was hard to do because you couldn't buy it commercially. We had to grow it, and then we hired people to grow it, and then as we've done it over the years, and we've been doing it since 16, I think, there have been years where it's totally blown down, because it's like, it's really thin. It's like a switchgrass.
Okay.
But, and we've gone through a number of different farmers. But, now we have it kind of dialed in, and we have our best crop out this year. It's probably 1.5 foot high by first week of June. I mean, we've had years when our farm, because they would always come to us last. They'd be like, well, we got our 1,000 acres of yellow corn in, and now you're putting your 30 acres of blue corn in. We'll do it in July. So
prime growing time now.
Prime growing time. Put it in 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, goodness.
It's a decibel out there. So
You have to go to Farmers Only, find some new farmers.
we got a good Farmers Only. Yeah, that's right. I'm not really looking for a new companion right now. Keely and I are working out, but maybe. So that's how it went, and as a product, it's done really well for us. We like the taste. It's a little bit different. I like the nutty flavor to it. I think that's what we hear mostly from people. It just hits different. It's not too sweet. And it's a wheated bourbon, too. And we make also a yellow corn wheated bourbon, same mash bill. Tastes a lot different. They age different.
It really does taste a lot different.
The
blue corn is
different.
much better.
Yeah. The nose is different. I mean, it's like
just a little earthier and nuttier, and you get a little more toffee.
I got you.
It's
Ben's
really
got the voice, dude.
Yeah, he does.
I adjusted the microphone finally.
You are.
It's very strong.
Thank you.
Man. You have to come on the podcast more often.
Yeah. What do you think about blue corn? Any notes or anything on either of you guys? Just talking about it, because I like it a lot more than I thought I would. No offense.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes you just don't know.
You're part of the anti other than yellow corn group.
No. I'm not anti.
Experience with it, right?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of experience
with it.
And then there was the one night. Doesn't
we had one
Texas make blue corn? Doesn't one of the Texas distilleries?
Balcones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So true story. We were down here the one night. We tasted the Balcones single malt that was outstanding. It was like a South Carolina State pick during COVID that the distillery had done and sent to South Carolina. It was just dynamic. We loved it. We reviewed it, whatever. Kenny gets all excited and goes, "Wait a minute!" He's like, "I got this sample of baby. I think it's called Baby Blue.
Not half a bottle.
Half a bottle, Baby Blue.
Balcones,
Right.
yeah, Baby Blue.
And we poured it, and and everybody took a sip of it. And went, no, and he said, "Nope. Put your glasses down." It got drain poured.
I poured the whole thing on the
It
drain.
got
Whoa.
poured into the
Disgusting.
drain. So, yes. So that's why I said I was skeptical. Not because I'm yellow or white corn or blue corn or whatever. Just because of that. That's kind of where my skepticism came from.
I think that's a whiskey.
It might be.
Yeah,
I'm not comparing the two. Just getting that out there. I'm just telling you why I had that.
It's fine. We have the blue battle.
There you go.
We like to think we're the winners.
There you go. That could be a marketing thing there where you go
Send the
against
bottle,
them.
yeah,
and
send
see,
the barrel back and forth. Now that we're playing Texas, we could do that.
That's right.
We may never win on the field.
That's right.
We'll win the bottle.
That's right. We'll win the barrel.
I think we just hatched a marketing idea.
There we go.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's
You're
just
the
something.
communications department.
That's right.
could
There you
reach out
go.
to them.
See?
And that's just something that I keep having to like reset myself on, is that there's so many different palates out there, and what people enjoy is totally different. And it really is like we've talked multiple times. Like personally myself, I don't really like much George Dickel product, but evidently enough people do because they're so huge. So it's just one of those things I got to get out of my mind, sometimes that what I like is what everybody else likes.
You don't like that Flintstone gummies flavor?
Dude, it's crazy. I know. Now, the best thing they've ever made, though, is that experimental rye mash bill that's in all the TKOs.
So true.
So amazing.
True.
So amazing.
I agree with that. Yeah. So we have a bottle that was being passed around here. This Elkwood Reserve Toasted Oak.
I've never seen that.
10-year-old toasted oak.
There's
bourbon.
a good reason you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, there's a good reason. So
Dan, tell them why.
Yeah, so
here we go.
Elkwood Reserve is Bluegrass's sort of like old and rare releases, 8 year and above.
Okay.
I think our first release ever was actually at our groundbreaking a couple years ago. And it's, the same line that we put out, our 15-year under. And we're doing some finish series where so far we've done 3 different wood finishes. But this is a 10-year-old toasted oak finish. So this was actually in that secondary barrel for about a year. And you can tell by the color of it. We also have good, thanks, Chase. We also have some from our Spanish oak finish. So those would be fun to compare next to each other.
Spanish, all right.
Yeah.
One of the very best bottles from 2 years ago is a Rebecca Creek Spanish double oak.
I've tried that.
It was
it's really good.
And it hangs with $500 bottles,
I think this
$400
I've tried
bottles.
that. This stands up to it, I think.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the toasted oak that you're holding there, Kenny, we're going to release it this week. So it's in our tasting room only. So some of these are sort of distillery exclusive products, but we'll be releasing that.
That's a distillery exclusive.
Now, so who is this sourced by? Is this your all stuff, or is this a blend, or is it?
That is sourced.
Okay.
And yeah,
if you can't say, that's fine. If it's NDA,
yeah, we
that's
can't
fine.
say, but it turned out really well. And so we have the Spanish oak, the toasted oak, and then we have a French oak that we don't have tonight, but we've.
Now I was here it is. This is a Midway Distilling Company double oaked rye. And I'm assuming that's MGP. It says Indian on the back. Okay.
Correct.
So this one is also very delicious. That's a very good rye.
Yeah, I think it's about a 7-year rye.
How much does something like
barrel.
that sell for?
In the tasting room,
the Midway single barrel rye is $70 in the tasting room.
Okay.
$70.
$70 in the tasting
Pretty
room.
darn good.
Yep.
Dude, 7 year double oak.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
$70.
$10
you can fill that right out of the barrel. So that actually we pull
So
right out of the
we-
barrel that's up on the rack.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
So that's part of all our tours out there at the new place. Is we offer everybody the ability to fill up a bottle of whatever we have available of single barrels at that
awesome.
that day. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
been pretty popular so far.
So we get asked all the time about experiences, and recently I had directed a few people and told them to come out and see you all. I don't know if they did, but I just said, right now I feel like y'all, compared to some of the other places, might be flying under the radar a little bit. And when I say the other places, I'm talking about when people come to Kentucky, not just like
Sure.
Lexington, right?
Right.
They're like, I'm going to stay in Louisville and I'm going to anchor here, and what distillery should I go to?
Yeah.
And so the fill your own bottle experience, I feel like that's a really good thing, and I'm glad to see y'all doing it because it's unique and it's a good way to get.
Yeah, that'll keep people coming back.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Especially
Yeah.
if they don't know what it is, and you're like, oh.
Exactly, and no waiting in line for hours and hoping that we're going to do a bottle of your own that day.
Yeah.
We just have it all the time,
I
so
love
you
that.
don't have to count on just luck of the draw.
Are you also using the old house up there too?
We are. So yeah, we had it originally as our gift shop, but we've sort of transitioned it to where we start our tours up there. We have 3 tasting rooms. We start the tour up there, then you sort of walk down on your third taste down through the distillery, get the full distillery tour, and then in down there by the fill your own.
Because the first time I was there, I'd only gone in the old house.
Right.
I was like, it's really cool. It's really neat, really this and that. Then the second time I went to the new place. I'm like, man, this is like modern. So like those two kind of like really complement each other a lot. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
No.
Yeah, the property's, on the National Historic Register. It's got so much character. It's like quintessential Kentucky farmland views.
Gosh, dang it, that's great.
Which one? You talking about the Spanish?
Which one are you trying?
I didn't.
Toasted.
I don't have the Spanish yet. The 10-year toasted.
Can I try that one too?
Which one?
You guys get down to the toasted?
There we go. Wow.
That's what I'm trying right
Have you-
now. The
have you
10-year
had it
toasted
yet?
is great.
I've not had it.
No,
It's
Wait a
fresh
minute.
off the line.
What is going on
This
here?
10-year toasted was pulled. So this was bottled a couple days ago, and
Really?
I went back to the bottling line today and very kindly asked our manager of the line if I could pull a bottle before it went to release. So
Yes, go
got
Chase.
this just for you guys.
Yes, you're the man.
Yeah.
You sweet talked Minerva.
Wow.
Yes, exactly.
That's a great whiskey.
Yeah.
I mean, that tastes great. And
that one is barrel proof at 120.
okay.
Yep.
Who does the blending on all the bottles?
Normally Graham Summers.
Yep. So Graham is our head distiller at this point, but then it's also collaborative. So like I mentioned earlier, they've had me doing some stuff with the single barrel program. So I've done a lot of the picking of barrels that actually go up on the rack in the distillery.
Okay.
Graham brings me samples as well. They kind of rely on my palate a little bit as the resident bourbon nerd there.
Nice.
So I've got to do a lot of stuff, which is great for somebody who's been here just 4 months. These guys also do have a fair amount of say in what we actually put into the bottle. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that at all.
No, it's like Graham sort of facilitates the process and definitely, pulls samples, comes up with blends, and then it's sort of a democratic process. We all taste, we've got a very diverse team. We love to get everyone's input, sort of vote on what the next batch should look like. Just because, as Kenny, as you're saying, like there's such a range of preference, and if you rely on one palate, that may not appeal to everyone. So we try to go around and make sure that everyone's getting their say.
That's a big push we talk about on the podcast for our listeners and just listeners in general, is to find somebody's palate that you line up with, and that's who you can take some advice from. And that might not be me, us. It could be us. It could not. So that's a big thing because everybody truly is different. What they like really does vary.
Yeah, if I go on a single barrel pick, I'm almost always showing deference to the store owner, right? If I'm fortunate enough to be included, I'm like, well, what do your people like? Or, if I don't know them personally, and then, looking at what everybody else is picking. And so have you ever had a moment in that process, though, where someone's been like, you guys are lockstep on something, and then either Sam or Ben, you come in and you're like, no, we're not doing this. You ever do that?
We had it on a barrel last week, actually. We did. Here we go. One of our guys was like, this was good. And I'm probably the most forgiving on putting barrels on the rack because I love my children. But I was like, nah, man, this guy's not ready. Yeah. It's got to get in the top of the barrel warehouse a little bit longer. So, but yeah, we did. I mean, I think there was consensus, and they were like, "You," and I was like, "It's not gonna work."
Oh, nice.
Got to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of your all's employees doesn't really like me too much.
What? I know what story he's going to tell here.
I'm not telling a story.
You're not telling a story?
They don't necessarily like us very much either.
No, we went. It's the first time we were there. We went to do a pick.
Yeah, he could tell, and I'll finish it.
I knew this was coming.
It was on the buff turkey stuff.
Oh yeah.
And there were 5 barrels out there, and everyone's tasting through them. And this was for a group pick, so we're like bourbon nerds. So it's like Anthony was saying. We'll do different picks for different liquor stores and just groups and whoever. And one of the questions sometimes comes down to, like, if I were to pick this for my bourbon nerd group, I would go with barrel B.
Right.
But if you're trying to go for more of the masses, I think A is better for that. So we were the bourbon nerd group, and everyone's kind of tasting the barrels. I think there was 5 of them laid out. And I'm just like, man, I didn't really like any of them. And a couple people are trying to be like, yeah, well, it's okay or it's not good. So I finally said, man, none of these are good. You got anything else? And I think it's Kobe.
Yeah.
He was just looked at me, his eyes got big, and I'm like, sorry, man, just not good. So then he went and pulled 3 or 4 more barrels, and all 3 of the other 4, all of them blew away the first 5. So I don't know if the first 5 were like leftovers from the people that passed over on previous picks, and it was just easier to leave them out there or something. But the next ones we tasted were way better, so much better.
Yeah, and then I had.
Here's the funny story: is the next week Anthony's there with Ryan Lentz at River Roots, and go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm there with Ryan, and he has a process. So it was Cam from Drums and Drams, and Ryan, and I think it was Bo was there as well that used to do the Buffalo Trace
stuff.
Yeah. So that's the 3 of them. I'm just like, hey, I'm here to see if any of these things are good. Just offer my input, whatever. And Kobe says, like, there was a guy in here like 2 weeks ago, bald guy, like didn't like anything. He's like, I like the way you guys are talking about bourbon and tasting it and stuff like that. He's like, but that guy was just so critical. And I'm like, man, relax. And I'm like, I think that's a guy I'm podcasting with.
That's funny.
That's my buddy Kenny.
I am honest and critical, man.
Yeah. So it was this really funny kind of moment where like, but that was all the ND NDP kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of known now. Everybody
It's known
knows.
now.
It's
Yeah,
known.
I mean, it's not a thing, but it
Buff
was
turkey.
the buff turkey
Oh, yeah.
stuff that was
Oh,
out
yeah.
there. So
Yeah, I heard that story.
Yeah.
Which I know you guys, Sam, I know you guys were interested
Let me
in.
clear the record just a little bit.
Okay, please.
So Kobe is one of the owners of Chevalier Cask, which is a wholesaling company that Bluegrass is part owner of.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and he was really sort of the lead on that project. And
That
so
was a
actually,
great project for you guys.
it was a great
FYI.
project.
Yes, it was.
We,
So
Oh my
we
gosh.
did.
Yeah, I want to
That-
hear more about that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So those barrels that you picked, nobody had picked over those. That was like very new into the
Really?
project. No,
Okay.
they were like, that was total happenstance.
Okay.
So like
it had to be happy. Yeah.
we had, it might not have been obvious, but like we had a rack full of those barrels at that point.
Yeah.
And at that point, nobody knew that it was going to turn into like the thing that
The
it is.
thing that is just
I mean,
off
Yeah.
the charts.
When we, this will probably be something that like resonates for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely,
So,
100%.
but this buff turkey thing. So there's a little bit of backstory, and I hope we want to kind of move through it because we could talk about this one particular product forever, and maybe we'll come back in 10 years.
But-
I don't have to be
Here's the thing.
work until 8:45 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Plenty of
Yeah,
time.
you don't have to move through it because right now, the way that's been in the industry and the way it's talked about, like, I don't think most people even know, I'm being honest here, that most of those barrels originated in that warehouse.
We were basically the broker for those barrels,
Right.
for somebody else. They came in and they thought they were from Wild Turkey, and I looked at the head and I said, "These things are not from Wild Turkey." It's not clear why they were made for them, but there were stories about how the stills were shut down during that time period. We don't know that. I mean, there's very little.
During that time period, their still was still going.
Yeah,
So
so-
I've done the timeline. I've talked to David Jennings, all that. But Campari just does what Campari. Who knows, man?
So it. But at the time, like people were not. It hadn't taken off. Nobody knew that it was going to take off like that. And still people are trying to find the barrels. So one of the things about Chevalier is, and Bluegrass, because we are distillers, we have this ethos for the other NDPs and small distillers. So like we probably could have sold through all those barrels. But that doesn't do anything for the industry. I mean, if the NDPs die, then like all that's left is the big heritage brands.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
for that purpose, we were like, we got to make sure these things get out, and we still do the same thing. When we get old cask, we reach out to people and say, hey, do you guys want some?
I can give you my phone number.
We're tied in now. We're good.
Okay,
We're
okay,
good.
yeah,
We're
you're good, you're
But, but so that's the investor barrel part of the industry is so important for NDPs and diversity, because without that diversity, you don't see that things change and move the way they do. And groups like you all pop up to follow this stuff, which is so cool. I mean, it's just such a cool part of the industry. So it's something similar may happen again this year. Nothing like that, but there are some really cool barrels coming through that probably y'all will see later in the year.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
that Elkwood pick was for one of our local groups we did, which ran through Paddock Bourbon Club and Banners. So it ran
Right,
through for our
right.
local group.
Right.
So that bottle was included in our Best of Blinds last year. And we did 66 bottles in the Best of Blinds. So they're all 66 on the table, and we only pulled like 4 to 5 at a time. We had no idea we were pouring, so it's kind of like a double blind because that's so many of them.
Yeah.
And Urals scored the highest that we picked. So we had Urals, which we love Ryan Lentz and River Roots, but we had River Roots pick, and then we had the OKI 15 and the Silbach 15. Urals was the highest scoring in a double blind, for sure. So the actual Elkwood did great last year.
That's awesome.
Did really good.
And even now, you brought this the single barrel. This is something that you guys released.
That's one from, I don't know, 3 months ago.
This
probably.
one here?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that bottle in particular we're trying right now. So when we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when we closed down the facility here in Lexington, we moved all of our product and everything that we had down here back to the farm in Midway. So
Okay.
this bottle just was kind of a lost bottle that was somewhere at the distillery in Lexington. So it's 123 proof. So we brought it for you guys to try tonight. So
Nice.
it's we had to run it through our little snap thing to make sure what the proof was. It didn't even have a front label on it when I found the bottle.
Oh,
So
really?
It just had a back label on it that had the
Dang.
release number,
Yeah.
but we didn't know what the proof was for that release number.
So
It's
I'm enjoying
123
the
proof.
Spanish oak too.
That Spanish
Yeah,
oak is
that one.
delicious.
Yeah.
That Spanish oak is delicious.
I'm trying to decide which one I like better, the toasted or the Spanish. They're both good though.
Ben, you want to tell them the story about the origin story of all the barrels?
Yeah. So
Please,
when we broke ground, or we came up with the plan for the current distillery that we're doing the ribbon cutting on this week.
Yeah.
We start talking to all the vendors, one of which is barrel suppliers domestically, and we're like, hey, we're going to scale from 300 barrels a year to like 40,000. Do you have enough barrels for us? and basically they're like, no, we don't. Because at that time everyone was growing. Everybody was scaling up radically, and but the wheels were in motion for the distillery. So we started essentially a worldwide search to find barrels from anywhere we could.
Well, not only that, they told us they couldn't give us any barrels.
Yeah.
We were basically shut out totally.
Yeah. Yeah, we were sort of in a situation where we had to find totally new suppliers for barrels. So we searched all over. We ended up going to Spain.
Spanish oak is fire though. It is.
Like
a softer wood.
Speaking of Spain,
we went over there. We met with lots of cooperages, many of which are over 100 years old. We ended up, doing business with about 3 or 4 of them, and we learned an insane amount about these really high end wine grade barrels. So one of the things we learned is, for these types of barrels, they'll air dry the staves for 24 to 36 months before they cooper them into the barrel. So when we were there, we were out in the yard, and they had these stacks of like stave blanks, taller than you are, stacked up, and you can see around.
And I'm
them.
tall, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
How's that compared to domestic?
As a
barrels.
YouTube listener said.
So there are domestic barrels and cooperages that do the same thing.
Okay.
It's just we weren't familiar with that because we were used to sort of a standard, bourbon barrel, which is more of a kiln dried product. Some of the wood's still green, so you have a lot more tannins in the wood.
Okay.
So much more.
These air dried staves, you can see around them a ring of this dark color. It's the tannins like literally leaching out of the wood. So we sort of changed our entire philosophy around our new make, and so all of our new make we're doing now, we're using these air dried
Dude,
staves.
that is so huge.
That's very awesome. High-end
I don't know if
wood.
the listeners understand how huge that is.
Yeah.
That's something that Amin pushes all the time with Old Louisville is about, because he uses 24 to 36 months. It's huge.
It's huge, yeah. So
it's a big investment right now, but I mean, it's going to help us long term with retention in the barrels itself.
You're all stealing, man. That's going to be.
We're
awesome.
going to have a much better product at the end of that as well. So,
did y'all ever hear the podcast from the wood expert at ISC when he talked about the difference between air dried, 2-year air dried wood and kiln dried wood?
I did not, but I'm gonna go look it up.
It was fantastic. And did you listen to it?
No, but I would want to.
And so he said, not only do you not get the bad part of the tannin, but you also get like a 34 to a 40% increase in the good attributes.
Good.
Whoa.
And he said, the other thing I thought he said was fascinating is he said, a number 1 char gives you more sweetness than a number 4. And he was like, I can't get people to believe me, but it's true. And that was the other part of it, is we were trying to get higher retention, meaning a better crafted barrel, and also more
and they're gorgeous.
vanilla.
I mean, they look like furniture. The barrels we're using, they sand them, the exterior.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just gorgeous barrels. They also, we think the Angel Share, we're probably going to have less loss for these really old bottles. So even though you're paying a couple $100 more for a barrel, if your yield's higher, you can make it up.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Which I'm big into Dusties. All the Dusties over there. Those Dusties back in the day, man. That's one of the biggest things. Was also the age of the wood, but also everything was just, there wasn't like a big bourbon boom and stuff. Just stood outside and it freaking dried forever. So it just makes a big difference.
Absolutely. So
Ben didn't have any fun on those trips.
No,
no, I'm sure not.
Is that supposed to lead to more storytelling here? Maybe
next time. That's for our next
part 2.
But the knowledge we gained there also helped us say, hey man, we want to do a lot of these wood finish products, because it's just so amazing the range, even with different oaks, French, American, Spanish, like the flavor difference it imparts on the liquid. So So we've been playing around a lot, and you can see how dark that is. I mean, that was 12 months in that secondary barrel, and it was a new Spanish oak barrel. So it was packed with flavor.
So I've tried them both. For me, I like the Spanish oak better.
Ooh, I'm a toasted
Whoa.
guy.
I'm
toasted.
I'm toasted too.
Hey, Chase, there
But
you
I was
go.
gonna say, but the toast is a little bit lighter and sweeter, and I could drink more of it. So my thing is, if I were to just like say, hey, we're gonna drink the same thing for the next, we're just gonna hang out and we're gonna sit by the fireplace and we're gonna drink a bunch, I would go toasted because I can't drink more than probably an ounce or two of the Spanish because it's just so rich.
Yeah.
Right. Something to know too between those two releases. So the Spanish oak was barrel proof at about 116, 117, but it was proofed down by a happy accident to 106. So
Yeah.
Okay.
it actually did help it a lot though on the Spanish oak when it was at full barrel strength on that one. It was actually a little bit too tannic, which I think you guys would probably agree with as well if you had tried it. The 106 is a much like better drinking version of it. And then it's 120 proof on the toasted.
Well, that's what we've talked about. So like Michter's toasted barrel rye, or like a 13th Colony double oak. Sometimes I can only drink like an ounce or two because it's so rich.
Right.
So the toasted you could drink a bunch all night long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Steve, which one do you like better?
I'm actually the toasted. I'm with
Yeah.
you on the richness.
It's
of-
rich, but I couldn't drink a
of
ton
the
of it.
Right. It's really good though. If I just did a pour, I think I would go Spanish.
Yeah, but if I
like
want
you
to drink
said,
more of it, I would go toasted.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
let me revise and say, even though I was
No.
toasted, I like the Spanish too. Yeah, it's not like it's bad or anything like that.
Hey, jump on that little bandwagon train. And you don't know what
No,
you're saying
come
now?
on now.
So how do you peg the notes on the Spanish? I call the Spanish a bowl, bowl, and it actually has a little bowl on its
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I was going to get
on
that
its
in
label
there.
there, which I think is really cool. Maggie Young designed that.
Yeah.
It's a nice little attribute she put on there.
There you go. Perfect.
I just think it's so bold. Like, and
It's
you
bold.
compare
It's
this
definitely
to a French oak barrel, which is just not too far away. and
French
it's-
oak is
It's radically
Love
different.
it. I love some French
this
oak
does
too,
not
though,
have
man.
the
Have you
guys tried
creaminess
the
of
Elkwood
a
French
French
oak?
oak,
No.
but in a
Right.
good way.
No.
Right, no. And when you're talking about Spanish oak, like when you brought up Rebecca Creek at the beginning, that was my first introduction to it, and it's delicious stuff. I have a couple bottles of it, and this is the first thing I've tasted that reminded me of that in a good way.
Yeah.
So I'm actually probably going to do a second small pour of that right now,
Yeah.
even though I'm loving on the Elkwood. I mean, I'm sorry, but like that's another one I'm getting a big strawberry note off of.
Which one?
Okay.
The Elkwood
Strawberry
the
note.
15. The
Yo,
15.
that Elkwood
I haven't had
15.
the Elkwood yet.
I've described that as like a blue
I got the Elkwood.
Blue Mountain Powerade with like the grape Powerade.
Right.
That's my tasting note on that Elkwood.
Yeah. Berries. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
berry, like
Which is
berries,
crazy.
yeah.
Like, and I can candidly say this, and Kenny, I'm not speaking for you, but when everyone was going crazy on buff turkey, and they still are, our big criticism of it wasn't that it wasn't good liquid. It was just that people were paying ridiculous amounts of money for it and treating it like it was better than, some of the top shelf whiskeys out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think for certain barrels you might approach that. But I don't know that still is I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but some of the secondary prices on a bottle were between like $2,000 and $3,000.
Oh, we've been looking.
Okay. No,
we haven't been looking. We haven't been looking.
We haven't been looking.
So,
Officially,
yeah,
we
the
haven't
creeks
been
don't
looking.
that. It's your fault.
Officially, we haven't been looking. Unofficially,
Unofficially, you look.
for those of us on Facebook, I have been looking.
Yeah.
On the groups that don't exist.
So those pages
Exactly
that
on
exist,
those
right?
on those pages and groups that don't exist.
Yeah.
I don't know any of you. I haven't
Yeah.
seen any of you on those.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Did you hold any of those back?
Now, here's the thing.
So unfortunately, this bottle that we're having tonight of the Elkwood 15. This is actually the very last bottle of Elkwood 15 that Bluegrass Distillers possesses. So
I know a guy's got one.
we do not have another bottle besides the one that's sitting here in Kenny's basement. So
There you go.
yeah.
Amazing.
So if you guys want to steal it, it's here. So
Uh-oh. That's challenge accepted.
That's what I was talking to. Like, I don't know if that'll happen again or at least in our lifetime, because right now as things are, not that things are slow, things are back to where they really should be without the COVID boom in place. Those buff turkeys 3 years from now, 5 years from now, might even be crazy price, because because a lot of them got opened. So they're going to be left that's not open. It's wild.
Well, the reality is, if it wasn't good, it still wouldn't have sold like it did now.
Right.
So, there will be something else that happens, and it, piques people's interest. And what wave is it? What wave are we going to ride? Which is cool, which is a really awesome spot for bourbon, I think. When I look back on it, there was this period when people were, we were selling 2-year product, then we were like, okay, it's 4-year product, and now, sort of the par is going to get up to a 6-year shelf price product, and so now people are looking for stuff that is totally different and unique. I mean, there is a whole population of people like you all who are looking for like super unique stuff.
Yep.
And so they're very discerning, and so it's kind of like we're in the Indiana Jones business for, in search of the unknown.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, a long time ago when I first started getting serious about whiskey, I can't remember which podcast it was, or it may have been 3 of them, because there was a couple that I listened to way before I thought about even having a podcast. And one of the things they always said was bourbon drinkers want something that they've never had before, right?
Right.
That is unique, that is something different. And I think that still stands to be the case, whether it's a 10-year-old toasted oak or a Spanish oak or a 15-year-old, origin unknown. That's the kind of stuff that gets people excited. And, right or wrong, even tonight, I was texting Kenny and said, I really wish that we weren't recording a podcast tonight, because have you guys seen that whole Stiltz-Weller thing that's going on where, they picked a couple of barrels, like 2-barrel blend or 9-barrel blend or something. I did a gift shop only release. Somebody listed it for $10,000 and madness ensued.
What?
Madness.
It's a
Right.
Stitzer Reserve 24.
24 years Stitzel Reserve.
Only at the gift shop, $1,600.
Was that one of those like suspiciously like labeled
It's supposed to be like
Bow
Burn-
releases
I
or
think it's like
something like that?
Burnham, they're saying.
It's supposed to be like Bernheim,
Yeah.
whatever it is, but
Yeah.
it's
All that stuff is so suspicious.
there's going to be arguments all throughout the evening on the internet about whether or not that's even something that should be discussed.
Right.
And the funniest thing I saw in all of it was somebody who's like, well, we can't talk about this because there's non-disclosure agreements. I'm like, this is completely Diageo owned and manufactured. There's not a non-disclosure going on here. There's no NDA. It's like, it's fine. But anyway, that's kind
You
of
have to make it seem secret
Yeah, I had to make it
Yeah.
seem
to make
safe.
it valuable.
That sells.
Yeah.
That
It's
sells
got to be
bo-
classified.
Yeah.
Right.
The secret sell bottles. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that in this case, when we're talking to you guys, I want our listening audience to understand, like, you guys partially brokered all those barrels. You guys know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, and you're doing great things, and you got a high ceiling. So I think that's something that's why I wanted to talk about that. We wanted to get into it.
Yeah, it's us
Yeah.
and this other entity, Chevalier. So,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
our other partner is, essential.
But that's also one reason the Elkwood Reserve line started, is because we, the first time we ever sourced anything was our toasted oak product, if you've had that. But prior to that, we did not source anything. And then as we've matured our sourcing network, we started Chevalier casks, and that has led to just access to so many very unique barrels. And so that we're leveraging sort of the Elkwood Reserve line
Right.
to sort of bring those to market. So, and we do have some really cool ones coming out very soon.
You're doing good
Yes,
things.
yes,
We'll
we
keep you all
do.
posted.
Yes, we
We'll
do
keep you
have.
all
Some,
posted.
yes,
Yeah.
we do have some cool ones coming out. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. I don't want to get fired.
So,
I see
talk
Sam
about that
looking
for a
at you.
second.
Let's talk about it, Sam.
Well,
you
no,
do it. Yeah, I don't want to talk. I don't
Twist
want
arm,
to get
twist
fired.
arm.
No,
You
I actually,
talk about
I actually
it.
want to talk about something different, which was, we would not source any product forever.
I know. We
And
talked
like-
about that. In episode 14,
episode
we said,
14 they talked
we
about
said it's really cool that they're doing this right, and they're only putting
Yep.
their stuff in a bottle. We said that was very respectable, and we do appreciate that. Even now, yeah.
Excited to see what the future holds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
However, tasting this 10-year and 15-year, source away, bro.
We had to move
Source
on.
away, bro.
That was the thing.
That's true.
We had to pay bills.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Daddy needs
Exactly.
a pair of shoes. Yeah. And it just, it just got to be where if we were going to really run, we couldn't do it on the number of barrels we were doing in a year. And so, and to get any real age on it. So we were selling the products, so we got into the game, and it's helped us make our appreciation for our product better, because we're looking at so many different things. Like, so many things come through our warehouse that we're looking through from so many different distilleries that we're selling.
I'm excited, though, based on hearing about your all's barrels now. I really am.
Yeah. No.
They have so much promise. I've been trying some of the younger ones, especially on the weeded products right
Yeah.
now. They have a lot of promise.
Dude, just knowing a little bit about that and talking to Mean about all that, that is the biggest. That is so huge. That is so huge.
Yeah.
We need to finish a blue corn in a Spanish oak barrel.
what would you call it?
The Toro Azul. We call it the Toro Azul.
Nice.
And we did actually
Papa Smurf.
We did actually bring you guys something very unique to try tonight. So Ben and Sam actually hadn't previously tried this until today. So this
Do we know about this?
You do. You tried.
Oh, okay.
You tried it. Yeah, you tried it in your office earlier. This is the oldest barrel that we have in stock of our own distillate right now.
Fantastic.
So we drilled into this barrel earlier just to pull a sample for you guys.
Man.
So this is our original mash bill. So it's 75% yellow corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley. This is barrel number 10 out of Bluegrass Distillers. Barrel number 10.
So this is like legit.
So this is like
back
from
from the day.
that pot still back in the day.
Okay. Oh my
gosh.
So this was distilled November 11th, 2015. So it's a 9-year product right now, coming up on 10 this fall.
Wow.
This is so I was talking.
Probably took us 2 months to distill that thing.
So I was talking to
Yeah.
that barrel took 4 days to make.
exactly.
a lot of
so I
love.
was
$20,000 cost of goods.
So I was talking to Graham, our head distiller, earlier today, and I was like, "What do we have that is special? What can we pull to bring for this?" So this is our absolute oldest barrel of our own distillate that we have. So
Wow.
we thought you guys would want to try it.
So
Oh, man.
when we were recording 14,
Yes.
this thing was bacon.
That was bacon.
exactly.
That's exactly right.
So
It's aging.
here
That's
it
amazing.
is. So.
Oh, I can't wait to try that. That's dark too.
And it is. Let's see. It is 110 proof and some change, like 110.5 or something.
So that's
like
a
that.
53-gallon barrel?
Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
actually, yes, I do.
Yeah,
I saw
okay.
it earlier today because I was pulling the sample. It is a
Yeah.
53-gallon barrel.
We did
Okay.
25s
Yes.
for a while.
Yeah, that is a 53.
We actually have some single malt we
Yeah.
did in 25-gallon.
Oh, it's delicious too.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
7
Wish
years
we
old.
made more of that.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I've been on a high malt and single malt kick for a while too.
Yeah, he is.
Interesting.
I tried some single malt out of Garrard County that they put in these.
Out of where?
Where?
Garrard County. Garrard County. Yeah. I'm not kidding you. So is a year old. Is that where you're from? Yeah.
They make fun of me because I said
Garrard is
Garrard County, and they're like, "It's Garrett," and I'm like, "What the hell's the matter?"
It's whole nation. But it was in a barrel that
I found my brother.
How do you say ketchup?
What's I say ketchup.
There you go. Okay, good deal. But they had a single malt that was in a barrel that had stayed aged for 3 years, and it was fantastic. I mean, it was just a year old.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
So this is pot still.
It takes a while.
What you're trying right now is a single run on the pot
The
still.
nose
So
is pot still.
yeah, it is pot still. So.
Oh,
But it is a single run on that pot still, so it hasn't been like double or triple distilled.
Well, no, that's not true.
Like that.
So, Sam, talk about the heart of hearts that you use to make this.
This was the most ridiculous rabbit hole we've ever run down.
I like rabbit
And there
holes.
have been many. So one of the rabbit holes was when you're distilling on a pot still, it's terrible when it starts and it's terrible when it ends. So, it'll start out 160 something and you'll bring it down to 20. But in the middle, at like 145 for about 10 points, it tastes fantastic.
Okay.
And we would call that the heart of hearts. And it would be like
Yeah.
a quart. It'd be like, here it is, this quart for today. and talk about taking forever to fill a barrel.
It's like moonshine. You got heads and tails and
Yeah,
hearts. Yeah.
And in a heart of hearts. Yeah, I mean, the pot still stuff, it tastes... What I think I have learned about pot still stuff is it takes a lot longer for it to age into being good.
Yeah,
I agree.
It just tastes,
got
really
that
it
grainy
takes 7
character up
years
front
until
a
you
little
get...
Still a little grain for it, but it's chocolatey. It's not bad.
You trying the barrel 10?
Yeah.
I was saying chocolate
Pot still is, I like it actually. There's a lot of pot still.
One of the few
like.
pot stills I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very few.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is you're right about the age, and it's just think, Sam, you guys originally were over there doing the best, like you said, with the jugs and filling those barrels, and now we're here tonight and we're tasting this, and it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good.
Any idea about the barrel this went into?
Kelvin, I'm sure. That's where we were buying back then.
And
See-
we're not super fans of grain forward stuff, but this actually is showing that chocolate butterscotch character in the front, which is really nice. I mean,
It's got a rich note.
it's got a rich note.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rich and very nice
Yeah.
mouthfeel. Yeah, for sure.
I like the pot still stuff way more on ice. I mean, it really opens it up,
Right.
and you get sort of like these nice cherries through the ice.
It's what's the proof on that?
It's 110.5.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's good.
That's hard to believe. We were
Yeah, it
putting
is.
out some really low proof stuff back then because it was the heart of hearts.
How many barrels of that do you have?
That is a single barrel. So I mean,
okay.
this is just barrel number 10.
Sweet.
As far as what I was told earlier, this is the oldest barrel of our mash bill 1, which is like
Yeah.
our original recipe.
Wow.
This is the oldest barrel that we have in stock of that.
Wow.
So
Nice.
of like a full size 53-gallon barrel. So
Okay.
I think you guys started out aging in the smaller barrels first, if I'm correct. So this is number 10 of like the full size
It's
53-gallon barrels.
9 years of change.
9 years and
Yeah.
change. So
I
it'll
like
turn 10 in November 11th
this,
of this
actually.
November 11th of this year's
it's got-
birthday.
The pot still products are so unique. The mouthfeel, like all those oils you get, it's
Right.
just it's different.
It's
So when this turns 10 years old, we'll have a little mashup pick.
There you go.
Yeah, I heard earlier today.
Little mashup pick.
Somebody's interested.
yeah.
Told him
Very
I didn't
nice.
know what we were doing with it. Maybe he could butter you guys up a little
I
bit.
mean,
but
maybe
you
sell
go.
it out.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
So for some reason, this barrel 10 has not become a mashup pick. It might. No.
Okay.
Based on how this tastes, I like it a lot. I think a French oak would absolutely make this thing off the charts. Because a French oak is a little bit sweet, and it'll actually curb a little bit of the tiny bit of a harshness to it. So I would say a French oak finish on this pot still would be freaking lovely. Just like
Kenny, these are our guests, and you're suggesting to them how they should.
I know my crap,
do
dude.
with their
I'm like,
bourbon.
hey,
If he's buying the barrel, he can
Yeah,
do what
I'm
he
a
wants.
nerd.
So.
Oh, okay.
well, the good
We'll
news
take a
is,
deposit
the
today.
good news is I know a place that has some empty French oak
There we
barrels
go,
right
exactly.
now with some bourbon that tastes just like that. So
think about some of the French oak you might have tasted from Dark Arts or RD1 or somewhere. That little French oak nuance on top of this.
Exactly.
It can just kind of calm it just a little bit. It can calm some of that pot still a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
I really do.
absolutely.
So one thing here, because since Anthony is Mr. Prepared, it did have one thing in there. I don't know if you guys answered or not. How did your love for bourbon start?
Yeah. What's the original root
Like
of
the
it?
original boom.
You talked about New York.
You said bourbon and coke, right?
cocktails.
You
Yeah,
said bourbon and coke.
cocktails and
But
yeah,
like-
well,
Bourbon and coke.
Post bourbon and coke, the cocktail thing, and then getting into just coming, and then I came coming back to Kentucky. The bourbon boom was in full swing, and it was just
Okay.
awesome.
But let me see if I can set the stage here.
Yeah,
My friends and I stole a bottle of Virginia Gentleman when I was young, right? When I was in that age, right? And we're like, this is not good.
They're horrible.
And then all the Greeks drank Canadian Club and Crown Royal in Northeast Ohio. That's all they drank. And so, like, that was my introduction to whiskey, was like Crown Royal and Canadian Club, which now I cringe at. It's okay once in a while when around the people that mean something to. But for me, like, into bourbon was like getting here first couple times, tasting like a Weller or a single barrel selection or something like that, where I was like, that's exceptional. That was me. So is there a moment like that for each of you guys? Or
I mean, similar to you. I mean, when I was in college, I drank stuff that always had the word "gentleman" in it, which never made you a gentleman. Like a gentleman, plastic bottle.
oh yeah,
You can
Great
throw it like
line.
a spiral.
Yeah.
But when I went to college, drinking bourbon was a big thing, and I'd been drinking it since back then. So I had a buddy from Virginia. He was like, "Have you ever heard of Blanton's?" And of course, I'm from Versailles, and I was like, "No." And he was like, "It's got a little thing on top, and you can collect them all." And so I tried.
Pokemon.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Catch them all.
So I tried Blanton's in college, and then it just kind of continued on, and and then when I came back and we got into this, it developed even further.
I got you.
yeah.
I never had a podcast or anything.
Oh yeah. Hey, it didn't take the
Us
podcast.
neither.
Yeah, the podcast was just an after effect of falling in love with bourbon. Is there a moment like that for you, Chase? Or Ben talked about
Well,
New
let
York.
me just lay a little groundwork here
Yeah,
for
go
Chase
ahead.
too.
Okay,
So
all
one
right.
amazing thing
All
about
right.
Chase, and we see it a lot, and it's a testament to how much love there is for bourbon. But like, he very highly educated, leaves home, goes to college, working in a high profile job, and he's like, I'm going to quit this and go back to Kentucky just to get into the bourbon industry.
Oh, man.
And he literally shows up. He's like, I'll do anything. I just want to work in the bourbon industry. And
There you
he's
go.
You know, he started running tours, started bartending, digging holes, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But,
Nice.
but you know, he's just it shows how much passion
And he loves
Kentuckians
the
have.
spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loves the spirit, man.
Yeah.
And we get
And
lots of
vegan.
resumes like that. People from all different industries are like,
Yeah.
I want to quit my job and come work in the
Yeah.
bourbon industry.
Right.
So that's for me, like, which, you know, a lot of our listeners know. I mean, I didn't take my first sip of bourbon until January 2020. And look at all this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
What
felt
were you
impressive.
drinking before?
Nothing.
He wasn't even drinking.
Literally nothing.
Nothing.
Iced tea, sweet tea. I
man.
I fell in love
You don't
with
see
it.
that
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I know.
truly fell in love with it. It's just wild how you can go to any rick house, your all's rick house, Wild Turkey, Four Roses, and you got 5 barrels sitting there together, and all 5 taste different.
Right.
Same mash
Yeah.
bill,
Yeah.
Yep.
same yeast strain, and they're sitting right there together, and they all taste different. I just fell in love with that, man. It's kind of wild,
That's
you know.
awesome.
The search for the unknown is what's
Yeah.
so cool about it.
It's wild.
That it's so different.
Yeah.
And the people, and that's part of the lure of the industry is that it is so fantastic. And when you become part of the craft group, everybody's bringing their bourbon to the stuff, and you're trying different people's stuff, and that's part of it too. It's like, golly, the passion that's involved in this is just. I mean, when I was practicing law, I mean, people would not get together and talk about how great the cases were. I mean, people would talk about it, but those were kind of weird people, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, like, you know, this discovery dispute I have is just freaking awesome. You know, I got
see
served
that-
with a deposition
Yeah.
notice today. You crushed it. I mean, it's wonderful. Here, read this deposition. I mean, which is totally.
Didn't know it was coming.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Sorry, go ahead. But Chase, do you have?
Oh yeah, so I mean, I was working in politics before this, so it's not difficult to start drinking when you work in politics.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
That's that is my line of how I get tour groups to like me at the beginning.
Right.
That's usually gets about 90% of the crowd to laugh. So that's a
get me to laugh.
That's a good thing to start with. And then they're usually like, yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I would move back from DC to drink every day too. So
Yeah.
that's it's been a fun time.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Was there original bourbon that any of you guys fell in love with where you like had a sip of it and you're like, oh, I got to have 10 of these bottles. Is there one of those out there?
I'll beat them to it. It was all Russell's single barrel picks. So
Yeah.
before I moved back to Kentucky, I had about 90 Russell's picks
Yeah.
open.
Heck yeah.
So that's an obscene amount of liquor to have
Yes, it
of
is.
one thing. But they were really good. So you know what's happening to them now? Actually, they are aging for an additional time in a 5-gallon barrel in my dad's garage.
Really?
So they will be very good here in a couple months.
Chase
I'll let
picks.
you guys
Chase
try
picks.
them. Yeah,
All
they're
right,
very
very
good.
good.
It's a combination of everything from like as low as an 8-year-old Russell's pick all the way up to some of that 17-year from Castle and Key.
Okay.
So it's a mixture of everything. So
there you go. See?
Nice.
You hear that, Bruce?
That's right.
Please text.
Just so
Bruce,
you know.
please text me.
There you go.
This is Bruce's favorite podcast. He's made that very
I
clear.
know.
Many
We got
times.
the Alves connection here too.
right.
Yeah. I know.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's so
So-
funny.
Mine was probably some Weller.
Okay.
When my first son was born, I'd walk over to my neighbor's house. Mike Brindley, I love you.
Oh, there you go. Shout out.
Because literally every night I'd walk over there and just, get the kids down, or get the kid down and walk over there. And he was a Weller man, had all the Wellers.
Yeah.
I just had your Weller full proof
Yeah.
because I always go back to that as like my comfort bourbon.
Yep.
It's just solid. And anyway, that's the one that like sort of made me feel like this is my drink.
There you go.
So
Exactly. That's good stuff. Any of those for you, Sam, or no? It's kind of scattershot.
I'm not like. I don't have any that I have to have 10 of. I mean, I
gotcha.
like the Sazerac products.
Okay.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
they're great. E.H. Taylor, I love.
I'm a BT tater, so I'm good with that.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I like Weller. I
Well,
like
there's a
Pappy
question you
lot.
had on there is if you're drinking something besides your own, what would you drink? So
Yeah.
both
So,
you
yeah.
guys like
Yeah,
Weller
yeah.
and Saz.
It's all right.
and-
yeah.
Yep.
Sam is a big fan of the E.H. Taylor Flood Survivor.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
That one.
That bottle that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
He'll be a big fan. He'll be a big fan of that. The E.H. Taylor Flood.
All right.
It's a survivor.
It's kind of have sort of
Kinda
a
gray too.
funky water
Yeah,
taste to it. But
precisely.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit gray water.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to cut myself off from the Midway Double Oak Dry because I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Killer.
I just went back to that. That's what I drink.
So,
Yeah,
so
it's-
good. That's
it's
what I have right
disappearing
now.
quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
have to
noticed.
be like, hey, that bottle's one of those that can disappear quickly.
Yes.
because it's very good.
So your all's line up. You want to go through it real quick?
Yeah. So basically, Bluegrass Distillers are all of our flagship products in the square bottle here.
Okay.
When we bought the property in Midway, there were no distilleries there. But prior to mid 1940s, there were tons of distilleries because it was the first rail town in Kentucky. And Midway Distilling Company was one of those. It was actually one of the last distilleries in Midway prior to a fire that burnt down a 40,000 barrel warehouse and basically, took that away. So we bought the trademark and we relaunched that brand around the time we were working on the farm. And so we do our barrel finished rye whiskeys on the Midway line. And then Elkwood Reserve, so we sort of three different categories of SKUs, are our 8+ older, old and rare whiskeys.
Unique and rare.
Yes, unique and rare. Exactly. So
Get a lid on that guy.
And old. Unique, old, and rare.
And old. Sorry.
So yeah,
Ben's like, shut up.
Three different categories, but each one we try to innovate and come up with fun projects just because we all sit around and pitch a lot of product ideas every day. Just because it's like we're sitting around a bunch of barrels, we're sitting around a bunch of bourbon. We're like, what can we do with these? So this is the result.
I like it, man. I'm impressed. I actually do. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time when, in your history of doing this, and I'm looking at both of you now, but mostly it's Sam, where you thought like, okay, this is not worth it. I'm done. I'm, hard times. Anything that's happened when you've been like, okay, and then you've bounced back from it where you're like, any one thing you can
I'm
point
a
to?
survivor.
I always like to know from
I'm not
brands,
give
especially like
up.
yourself,
Yeah.
the highs and the lows. Just the highs and the lows, take it from there,
Never.
Never?
Not 1 minute.
Not one
My
minute.
man.
I'm going
There
to
you
tell
go.
you, and I'm not going to.
Love it.
It has never been, it has not
I
been
love it.
easy from day one, and we've had some serious trials. And one of your questions related to the most difficult part.
Right, yeah, please.
And so, when we bought the property, interest rates changed, the industry changed some. I'm going to tell you, because I was the GC for also managing the budget,
Yeah.
and we were working out there. It was raining and cold, and we're totally self-funded. We never had any investors.
Oh, that's awesome. I
And
didn't
so
know
it's
that.
like we took all the pain, every penny. Like our spouses took the pain,
Lots of pain.
Our
Lots of pain.
employees took all the pain, and I was so scared. Like I was like, and I have this saying. I'm like, can you take the pain? And I get up in the
I like
morning
it.
and I'm like, can you take it? And I'm just like, and you just get further and further along, and then you're like, you say to other people, can you take the pain? And they're like, I don't know. But that's the thing is like people, they just keep going with you, and when people keep trudging along, it's like you have a different set of people if you got people who will do that. Like the people who are with us, who have not left for more high-paying jobs, and they've been offered high-paying jobs, who are super highly skilled, who, when we were making these payments, we got lucky a couple times. We had somebody fill the warehouse. We had some big POs that got filled. I mean, I'm not going to kick you all. I mean, they were like, people cried at times. We never had investors to rely on and did like some capital call. And,
Right.
And we managed the thing. Like we managed every penny. We thought through everything. Ben's an engineer by trade, so like he could think through a lot of these issues. I was a contractor by trade, so we weren't going to get hoodooed by people. We weren't going to get lawed by people.
Right.
We were like, okay, we're trying to stay a step ahead. But it was scary. I mean, it really was. And then when it finally did turn on, I was standing there and I was like, is it really going to come out? And then it just did. And it was kind of anticlimactic. And I actually hoped I'd cried, but I didn't. I was just like...
You just took a drink.
I just took a drink. I was like...
You're like, let's
what
have
does
a
it
drink.
taste like? And
Yeah.
it tasted great.
Oh,
and,
that's great.
And, we don't have to do the heart of hearts anymore because it's all the heart of hearts,
Right, right.
Yeah.
One,
It's all the good
whatever,
stuff.
it's high proof. So, but all that was keeping employees and not having, the team flee, not have our spouses flee. Important. You should ask them that same question.
Yeah.
They're going to be here tonight.
Next episode, part 2.
Tell all.
My goodness.
The spouses of distillers would be an interesting one. And so Elizabeth and
You're giving us good advice here. No.
maybe don't do that if you want to keep and so those were the most trying times.
Yeah,
but
and we were all at the same time keeping downtown afloat, and the construction phase was very difficult because it was just all hands on deck, everywhere, all the time.
Yep.
And then the highest high. Well, there have been many highs. There are all these milestones you work towards, and they happen.
Yeah. And
you toast and have a drink, and then you say, "All right, now we're on to the next one," because they just keep coming. But definitely one of the highs was when the still turned on, and we actually, had juice coming off, and it was delicious.
Oh,
just
man.
so clear and
that's amazing,
beautiful, and that was just a couple months ago. So
you were getting ready for that when we were there doing the Kentucky Cinder Pit.
That's right. We were passivating all the tanks.
You're running around.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I can't hang with you guys because you were literally running around getting all that crap going. Exactly.
Yeah, we were. I remember that because we had to wear like these, yellow uniforms because we're putting acid in all the tanks to clean them up and get the still ready. But now, man, we're distilling 5 days a week now, and it's great.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
we planted wildflowers this spring. I'll tell you why this is why
Chase did what?
I did dig a lot of those holes.
It was
when I wasn't distilling or giving tours. I just grab
a shovel.
The suffering continues.
There you go.
Just a casual 65 hours a week. Nothing about it.
Chase has 14 name tags on his shirt right now.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Master distiller all the way down to tour guide. So everything in between.
It's like in Living Color. He's got all those jobs. So this episode will air just after your all's official ribbon cutting, which happened last week. So go ahead about that.
Yeah, so the ribbon cutting, which is happening this week, but next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Back to the Future. It's like, is this where
we're recording this just before your ribbon cutting?
Correct.
But this episode will release.
You're not thinking
after
four-dimensionally, Ben.
I know.
Imagine how it would be, Ben. Just imagine.
Yeah, so we had our ribbon cutting last Thursday because of the day of this
once this airs, right?
So, and we're going to fill our first official barrel there. We've actually been distilling for 2 months, but we're open for tours 7 days a week. We're distilling 5 days a week, and we'll tell you where to find us later. But yeah, we're firing on all cylinders in Midway now. As Sam mentioned, we closed down downtown, and we're putting all of our resources into Midway, and it's going great. Yeah,
I'm excited, man. It's really cool.
So we have another release coming. We'll have an 18-year release coming out.
Wait, what?
18?
Yeah.
18.
Way to spill the news.
Mic drop.
Well, we talked about spilling the news, and we agreed that I would spill the news.
Let's go.
So that's coming.
Let's spill it.
That's going to be before the end of June.
Okay.
So maybe the weekend of June 21st.
Distillery only?
Initially,
Okay.
yeah.
and then it will grow, and you'll start seeing it.
Can
in
you
other
give me
places.
the coordinates and time when this will happen?
So,
Join our mailing list at bluegrassdistillers.com.
Okay, very good.
Calumet 18 just came out, which is Barton. Is this an NDA totally, or can you all tell what you have got coming out?
We can't say what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. MGP. Okay. No.
No.
All right. Barton. Okay.
It is
no?
Kentucky
No.
bourbon. It is
Okay.
Kentucky bourbon.
Can't say.
Gotcha.
Everything is very tight-lipped.
Which is good. That's fine. Totally understand.
What else is next for you guys in terms of so you got the ribbon cutting and you got these wonderful things coming out that you're foreshadowing for us, but what else is going on? Any new amendments to the property?
Is Chase getting a raise? Maybe
Chase
something
getting a
like
raise?
that? I mean, what we got
Chase
going
is
on?
lobbying for a raise.
We'll see.
Planting flowers.
Chase has not yet lobbied for a raise, but he's working on it.
There we go.
So in the fall, we'll build another rick house. The next rick house, we haven't decided on a size, but it'll probably be between 35 and 50,000 square feet. But the most unique part of it is, and we still have some engineering to figure this out, but basically we have all this hot water to get rid of which is the condensation water. So we have probably 250 gallons a minute of 151 to 160.
It's a lot of water.
It's a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to run basically lines in the floor so it'll heat the warehouse through the winter.
Oh, wow.
So basically the rule is that the aging stops once the warehouse gets below 55 degrees. So our goal would be to keep it above 55 degrees all winter long. I mean, during the winter, that thing is so cold, like you can't even hardly walk in there because your feet will freeze.
Yeah, the barrels are just like a huge heat sink. So, you know, even if you get a nice warm day in the winter, they're so chilled from the nights that it's freezing in there. So if we can use some of that water and basically cool it off a little through the rick house,
nice.
It has, you know, it's a win-win.
When you started, I thought you were going to say you had all this hot water you need to get rid of. I was going to say, my kid loves mac and cheese. I need boiling water.
Be a lot of mac and cheese. So then we intend to add a restaurant in the fall, probably with we'll partner with some well-known restaurateur.
Okay.
And then we're adding music in the fall too as well.
Really?
Yeah. We bought the property so that people could come out and
Like
it
a
would
little
be
Friday thing?
Yeah,
I
like
love
probably
that.
Friday
I
or
love it.
Saturdays.
Exactly. I love
But
or
one of the
Tuesday
things
if you want.
Maybe a Tuesday, yeah.
Thursday.
Thursday, Thursday.
Exactly.
But one thing that distilleries, we're just kind of driven towards tour traffic, strangers, but we wanted to be driven towards local community.
Right.
We have these, we all have kids, and we wanted to be able to take them someplace on the weekend. And so that's one of the things we're trying to build out at the distillery. So that'll be coming too.
And we even talk about it, but you guys do a lot of charity stuff, right? A lot of charity barrels and things like that. So, yes, I completely get that community aspect of it for sure.
We're going to bring back the charity barrel program again.
Awesome.
Now that we're all at one place.
Yeah. That's really cool.
I'm not gonna say anything about what restaurant you're gonna do, but the food we had catered that day for that pick was freaking great. So just so you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was
We
really
like
good.
that a lot.
That was really good.
The daggone gumbo was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That
right.
was
Those
very
gumbo
good.
cups, yeah.
Yeah, holy cow. I'm hungry now.
I think that was Andre's fault for the Louisiana side.
I like
Oh,
it.
really?
Oh, it was
Yeah.
good.
We had a great time out
It's
there.
a beautiful facility out there.
Yeah, you
And
guys.
it's really cool
Thanks,
having
man.
the old historic house and then the new, more modern. It's really a cool, kind of neat thing. I like
Yeah.
that.
So
No,
what
we
do you all
really
think
do.
we should do? You all ask all the questions, but what would be things that you all would like to see out there?
Oh, my goodness.
Ah,
What would they like to see? Let's
Let's
hear
see it. Let's see the
go.
creative juices rolling.
I mean, honestly, the big thing is it's just time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be getting some older product, your all's product that's older, and seeing that taste. But I am loving the sourced older product. I think it's incredibly smart because I had a 9-year Elkwood there before, and these two 10-year Elkwoods honestly are great. Like legitimately are great. So I don't know what else to really do other than just waiting for y'all's product as it gets older. But the barrels are huge. You're already on that. I mean, that's a ginormous difference is just having legit 24 to 36 month, barrels like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I know you grade hard, Kenny, so thanks.
I do. I really do. And MGP makes some of the best ryes out there. So the fact that y'all are using MGP rye to double barrel or not even double barrel on other releases, that's just smart and it's great because you can't go bad with a good MGP rye. Just can't.
For the most part, all our ryes are going to be released in some sort of finishing barrel. So it ranges from like a rum barrel to like a Sauternes, like French wine casks. To
Ooh, Sauterne.
that one's pretty good. That one's pretty good.
I'm sure it is.
We've got a toasted French. We've got the we've got the double oak, which you guys tried at Cash Drink. So
I would say if you're actually looking for anything legitimately, like truly for advice, because I'm a great advice guy. So
yeah, you are. Let's go. Tell us what we need.
do some Armagnac and possibly some cognac to make like an actual cigar blend.
Any mash bill for the base or?
Like a 36% rye MGP is freaking pretty hot on in like an Armagnac finish for real. Yeah.
Steve, you got anything?
no, I think what you guys are doing for the barrels is really smart.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean on the super aged
Yeah.
steaks?
Yeah, because just the origins of barrels is does so much for the finished product.
Yeah.
And so if you guys can get that,
Absolutely.
nail that down now, I guess you said it's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
It's great for the
That's
customer.
great.
Yeah.
Like, we talked to this one customer who's getting ready to start his new fill contract, and I said, look, it's going to cost you this much more. It was insignificant. Now that we have a a local supplier of them. Although we could still get them from Spain if we wanted. And he was like, "Yeah, do it." And I mean, because for him, it's like he's going to get a higher yield. The odds are in his favor. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
You want to get the odds in your favor that your product is going to be great in 5 or 6 years.
Right.
And then fantastic at 10.
Right.
And wonderful at 15, and you have some left. Right? Because if there's nothing left at 15, I mean, we had a lot of empty barrels roll through.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues with basically normal grade bourbon barrels is they have too many small staves. They're you just get too much leakage. And when people are paying what they're paying for super aged barrels, which is really where the industry is going, right? I mean, everybody wants 15, 18.
Right.
It's going to go the same way that Scotch went. It's going to go 20. And so the question is, how do we get there? How do we get further? We already have a climate that eats the product. So how do you create a barrel that's a little bit more sound to get? So when you get to 23, you have some bottles left.
12 to 15, man. 12 to 15 is a sweet spot.
It is.
So once you get that old, you have to have something that's very low in temperature and high humidity to keep it that old. If not, it's going to taste horrible.
Too oaky.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have very simple advice, and that's this: that I'm honest 100% that I pay a lot of attention to bourbon media, and what I don't see, and this is not an offense to you guys, is seeing Bluegrass Distillers in the forefront.
Yeah.
So even locally, the more you can do to get your name out there, to get more visitors to your place, that's the number one thing. Because you guys, especially after tonight tasting this stuff, it's amazing. The stuff you're doing is amazing. The problem is a lot of people don't know about it. And I hope a lot of the people from this podcast that are listening will know about it.
Yeah.
Getting more attention to what y'all are doing is going to continue to grow in ways that I think that people will appreciate, like we're appreciating tonight what's happening here,
Yeah,
which is
like-
that we're looking at this stuff going, go ahead, Steven.
No,
Yeah.
it's like they have the single barrel pour problem.
Right.
I mean, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, right.
That can get feed out there.
Exactly.
Having the
Yeah.
music out there. I mean, there's
Exactly.
plenty of wine
Yeah.
vineyards that go out locally that have people when they flood the place on Friday night.
100%.
Yeah. The actual fill your own bottle thing. That's
really
going to
cool.
be that's a game changer.
Like I have a friend coming.
Straight from the barrel.
Yeah, I got a
Straight
friend
game
coming into
changer.
town
That's
this
like no experience.
this
Yep.
weekend who is kind of like into bourbon, but not super into bourbon. And he's gonna be staying in downtown Lexington. Where do I tell him? Do I tell him like go to Bluegrass Distillers? I don't,
Yes.
Midway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
come to Midway.
Of course,
Bluegrass
tons
Distillers
of
in
way.
Let's go.
Kentucky.
Exactly.
Let's
I'm
go.
just saying, like,
Get a
but
bottle of
there's some competition
Get
there.
a bottle of that.
And
can.
I think that's
Absolutely can.
that's where you guys can really spend a lot of your capital doing that. But before we tell you anything else, I want to know from y'all, where do you guys ship? What are you doing? Where can our audience find you? How can they interact with you? That's
Yeah,
like kind of what we
absolutely.
want to know. Yeah.
Yeah, so our website, bluegrassdistillers.com, you can order products to ship directly to your house in, I think, 46 states.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Dang.
so,
So you got the distro.
so we got the distribution.
We get that Justin's House of Bourbon distribution.
That's
There
right.
you go.
That's nice.
That bourbonOutfitters.com distribution.
Yeah, use
It works
code
well.
mashup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Code mashup.
use
Just code the
Use the
mashup.
code the mashup.
There you
Your
go.
10% or 5% discount.
Yeah.
5% discount.
Yeah.
And then
Facts
like
optional.
and follow us at Bluegrass Distillers on Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
at Bluegrass
That's awesome.
Distillers. Or come see us in Midway, Kentucky, more importantly, please.
Yeah.
Stop
Absolutely.
by.
Please do.
The drive
Get a
is
tour.
very easy.
It's
The
a
drive is
beautiful.
very easy
It's probably
drive.
the best
pretty.
drive in
Right.
Kentucky, out
Yeah.
Leestown Road, and
Yeah.
get a tour, have a drink, and hang out.
Agree.
Boom.
And with that, thanks for listening to this episode. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY.
Don't forget to visit our partner, BourbonOutfitter.com. Enter code THEMASHUP for a special discount.
Also,
Head on over to our partner, the Woodwork Collective, at woodworkcollective.shop. Enter code MASHUP for a 15% discount.
let us know your thoughts and follow in the comments section. Until next time, keep it in.